Do you ever feel like you are running out of time? Do you feel like you are behind? Do you feel like every day you wake up and you are scrambling to get everything done that you want to get done? Well, today I am here to blow your mind and talk a little bit about the concept of time. And what I am going to teach today is all about how you can slow down in order to speed up. Or in other words, how we can change our relationship with time in order to speed up our manifestations. This is a really juicy episode, so if you are interested in learning more about how to change your relationship with time, then be sure to keep watching. What's up, beautiful conscious creators? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen. I am a spiritual life and business coach, and you have found my weekly home of inspiration and motivation for you to manifest your best life. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. I am so thrilled to have you here. And if you are a returning guest, I'd love to give you a huge thank you for choosing to spend some of your busy week with me. If you don't know what this is all about, every week I create a brand new free training for you, which is all about the art of up-leveling your life by using your mind. So really, this is practical magic in a way. I am teaching you how to create the results that you want by using your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your energy, and all of that stuff. So if you are interested in creating a better reality for yourself in the future, I would love it if you would join me here on this journey. So you can go ahead and do that by hitting the subscribe button wherever it is. So again, do you feel rushed? Do you feel like you are behind in life? Are you always saying things to yourself like, I just never have enough time in the day? Well, you are not alone, my friend, and I know that I suffer from these exact same thoughts as well. So if you are feeling a little called out right now, that is totally okay, because this training is going to help you. I have been thinking personally a lot about the concept of time recently, especially because I tend to have these kinds of thoughts myself. And I think I have a little bit of anxiety, as I think a lot of us do, especially right now. And some of the anxious thoughts that come into my mind, and I think into everybody's mind, are these kinds of thoughts. Thinking that we are behind in life, thinking that we are behind on our tasks, thinking that we can get more done in a day that we do, and keeping ourselves really tied to this high standard of productivity all the time. Feeling like you're constantly rushed. All of these things are really just symptoms that we have had a broken relationship with time. So I've done another video about time, and in this one we're going to talk about a few of the same things. But every couple of years, I want to come back and readdress the same topics, because I have learned more, I have grown, I have shifted, and so I want to carry on and pass that information along to you. The first and most important thing that I wanted to bring up in this video today is the very fact that many of us don't think that we have a relationship to time. We think that feeling rushed is just something that we have to feel. We think that feeling like we're behind in life is just the default. And we don't realize that these thoughts that are running through our mind all the time, and that have maybe running through our mind for years, are not the way we have to think about time. I want you to start to consider this in your own life. If you take nothing else away from this video, just questioning your thoughts about this is going to be so life-changing. I've talked in other videos about manifestation about the concept of collapsing time, which basically means how you can create a big result in your life in a shorter period of time than most people would think is possible. Like, for example, earning a lot of money in a period like a year or something like that. When I talk about collapsing time, the example that I like to use is the money example. And the money example goes like this. So if I asked you if you could make $1 million over the course of your whole entire life, what would you say? Most of us would be like, yeah, no problem, I can totally do that. So the next question is, what if I asked you if you could make $1 million over the next 10 years? Many people would also answer the same way. Yeah, I could probably do that. I can definitely get in that realm. So now what if I asked you, could you make $1 million in 1 year? suddenly people are like, oh no, I could never do that. That's too much, too fast, too soon. It would be so much work. I would have to do so much more in my life to make that happen. So I like to share this example because it's really great at showing us that we have a very big attachment to time. We have an idea about how long certain things should take, especially in regards to money, but in regards to basically anything else as well. The question is, in this example, is not your ability to earn $1 million. You are basically admitting that you can have that capacity to do so. But the thing that you're really struggling with is thinking that you can earn that same amount of money in a shorter time frame. So I like to bring up this example to show how we can get in our own way and we can create a dysfunctional relationship with time. I wanted to share that example at the beginning because I want to show you the possibility that is on the other side of these habitual negative thoughts that you probably have about time right now. So if you want to really bridge that gap and do the quantum thing and collapse time and create, say, $1 million in 1 year, you are going to have to learn how to get out of your own way when it comes to time. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about slowing down to speed up. Again, most of us have default ways of thinking about time that are not really helpful. They don't feel good. They're actually really stressful and they can make us feel constantly anxious. So my question for you today is, why would you want to believe in those things about time? Why should we continue to opt in to these negative ideas about time when there is a whole different way of looking at time? So just think about that one for a moment. Take that in. Remember your power as a conscious creator. Remember your power of you being able to decide the rules of your own life. And yes, thinking about time differently is a rule that you can apply. No one's going to teach you this in high school. No one is going to come up behind you, tap you on the shoulder, and tell you that you have this power. That is why I'm creating this video for you today, so you can start to question these beliefs in your own mind and realize how they're getting in your way. So as is the case, anytime I bring up a limiting belief, you might have a bit of resistance about that. So when I say these things like, I'm always late, I'm behind in life, I'm behind in work, I'm behind in my money goals, whatever it is. When I even bring up the idea that you could think about these things in a different way, some people are like, well, no, I am behind. Well, no, I am constantly running out of time. I am always behind. I am always late. I am always rushing around. So I can't change those thoughts because they are true. I just want to point out right now that if you were speaking about anything else in life in this way, it would be a very clear-cut case of lack thinking, okay? A lack way of being is always embedded in fear. It is always coming from the worst thoughts that we have about ourselves. And anytime we are acting in fear, we are not acting in our highest power. We are making limited decisions. We are kind of in panic mode. We are not being the fully authenticated, capable person that we were born to be. If you thought that there was only one person in the world that could love you, this is a whole different topic for another day. But if you thought that there was only one person in this world that was right for you and you had to do everything in your power to get that person and it wasn't working, you would feel terrible. It's the same thing when it comes to time. When you constantly buy into the thought that you are behind, that you are running out of time, that you are late, that there's just never enough hours in the day, you are basically buying into the same line of thinking. These thoughts are literal evidence of your time mentality lack state, okay? Time mentality lack state is always feeling rushed, always feeling behind, always feeling like you can never get enough done in a day. So we know what lack feeling looks like, lack mentality looks like when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships. So this is how it looks when it comes to time. So I just want you to realize that this is a cluster of thoughts and a way of being and a way of looking at the world that does not support where you want to go. So the thing that does support where you want to go is abundance thinking always. It's abundance thinking about money. It is abundance thinking about love. And it is abundance thinking about time. Whenever it comes to manifestation, I always think of this as like it comes down to a dichotomy. You're either buying into the old fear-based thoughts or you are buying into your true abundant spiritual nature. However, the trick is because we are human, it is hard for us to see that lack mentality. It is hard to see how we set up our own limitations. It is hard to see how the things that we have been thinking for years of our life are actually the very things that are getting in the way of us getting what we want. So today, I really just want to challenge you to start thinking about time from an abundance point of view. So this is a little bit abstract, it's a little bit out there, but really what I want to do today is to give you permission to stop thinking all of those unhelpful thoughts. So if you are feeling like there aren't enough hours in a day, I really want you to question why that is. Because for most of us, it's not because there is a boss or a partner or somebody in our life that is telling us that we are not doing enough in the day. It is usually because we are thinking we're not doing enough in a day. And sometimes this has a lot to do with perfectionist thinking, which is thinking that someday we're going to wake up and feel completely perfect and have no obstacles and get all this stuff done and basically think of ourselves as this robot of productivity. And we forget to take into account the fact that we are not robots, we are humans, and we do have limitations on how productive we can be in any one day. But thinking that we need to have this high output rate all the time, it is not taking into account our innate human nature. It isn't taking into account the fact that you probably have a few good hours of mental productivity per day, and the rest of the time you're not going to be as productive. And it's probably buying into the idea that we are all programmed to believe that productivity is the most important thing. This is the capitalism idea that we have all picked up. We picked this up during school. We picked up this idea that we need to work 8 hours a day or we are lazy. Yet the 8-hour workday was a completely arbitrary number that was picked for people literally working in a factory, not for people who are working with their brains all day. It is a completely outmoded way of thinking. Really considering the ideas that you have about productivity is probably going to be hugely beneficial to your relationship with time and to your anxiety levels and to your basic self-love and self-acceptance in general. The most important thing to realize is that thinking that you didn't get enough done today, that is entirely a belief that you created. But that belief is going to stay there. It's not going to magically go away tomorrow. That is going to be your default setting until you decide to reprogram yourself to have an abundance mindset. I would question really, why are you rushing to do so much in every single day? Why do you feel that there's this finish line that you need to sprint towards? Of course, we need to be productive. Of course, we need to do certain things in a daytime, but we can definitely change our relationship to that. We can create a spacious schedule in which we get the things that we need to done and don't feel terrible about ourselves in the process. So if this is resonating, I would really take this into account in your own life. I could talk a lot more about productivity, perfectionism, and all of that stuff, but this is really a great place for, I think, everybody to start. Similarly, if you are having the repeating thought of, I'm so behind, I really want you to question this one as well. So this is a big thought that happens to so many of us. For example, I know that when I was a kid, I literally thought, but by the age of 25, I would be married, have kids, have a house in the suburbs, all of that stuff, right? So you are probably like me, and you probably made these grand assumptions about your future adult life when you were a child. And that's because, we watch things on TV or we hear about them or we see them maybe even in our family, and we just assume that the journey towards adulthood is going to be the same for everybody. So when it comes to actually being an adult, you might hit the age of 25 or 30 or 40 or wherever and not feel like you are where you want to be. This is another extremely damaging relationship with time. It is not going to result in you feeling good. It is going to result in you feeling less worthy and insecure and basically maybe unlovable because you haven't hit these arbitrary goalposts that you created maybe when you were a child. Again, it is really crucial that we think about where this stuff came from. So like I just said, I had these ideas about, what 25-year-olds should have their lives like, and mine was nothing like that when I was 25, let me tell you. The thing is, it's really important for me, or it was really important for me personally, to understand that these high ideals that I held for myself, I had created when I was literally like 7 years old. Like, they didn't really have a place in reality. I was making assumptions on all kinds of things that I knew nothing about. The thing is, in real life, the road is always a little bit longer and a little bit rockier than we think. When you're a child thinking about becoming an adult, when you are a teenager planning what you're going to take in university, nobody tells you this stuff. They concentrate on the goals, they concentrate on where you are going, but very few people are going to tell you that it is okay if things take a little longer. It is okay if you go to university, take a couple classes for a few years, and then realize that you do not like what you are doing. It is okay if you have to change careers a few times. It is okay, 100% okay, if you are not in the relationship when you are 25 or 30 or 40. It is completely okay. So again, if you are having insecure feelings and anxiety feelings about this, I think this has a lot to do with perfectionism. This has a lot to do with our program beliefs, but it also has to do with this time deficit that we all think we have. The time deficit seems to just be our default setting. With this thought, with this concept, I would challenge you to start thinking about what abundance thinking would look like in regards to you and thinking about your life. What would it be like to not think that you are behind, to not compare yourself to everybody else, to not think I should have done this by the time I was 30 or whatever arbitrary age you have chosen for yourself? Here's a way that you can start to reframe this. So for example, let's take a money example again. Say you are creating a business and you are working on creating a lot of revenue and you've set a goal for yourself to make $1 million. And say you really wanted to make it within the first year and you worked your butt off and you didn't make it. That could make you feel badly about yourself. But what if you had a little fairy on your shoulder that would whisper in your ear, you will make $1 million from your business, but it's going to take you 5 years to get there? Would you still feel like a failure? Would you still feel panicky? Would you still feel like you were behind? So most of us wouldn't, right? Most of us wouldn't feel that way if we really trusted that we were going to get the thing that we wanted. If we really trusted we were going to build the business, have the relationship, do the things we want to do, would we feel badly about ourselves? No. So I'm going to go ahead and suggest that you feeling badly about not having accomplished certain things by this point in life means that you don't really believe that you are going to get there. Because if you really believe that you are going to get there eventually on your own timeline, you wouldn't need to waste any time right now feeling badly about not being there. So I hope that that is another valuable way for you to reframe this and start to challenge yourself to think with an abundance mindset when it comes to time. So just to wrap this all up at the end, I kind of touched on the manifestation part, but I just really want to drill that in because this is all connected. I know that the reframes that I gave you right now seems like simple mindset shifts. Maybe it doesn't really connect with you doing your magical work as a manifestor and conscious creator. But again, when you are thinking these thoughts, when you are buying into the concepts that you don't have enough time in a day or that you're behind in life or whatever it is, you are buying into that lack of time, fear-based way of thinking. If you can instead switch your entire way of thinking over into the abundance mentality, having a spaciousness about your schedule, having a sense of trust about where you're going and what you can do, and knowing that you are strong enough and a badass enough to create the things that you really want, that will change and shift everything. So maybe you're thinking, like, if I don't feel rushed all the time and if I'm not constantly berating myself to get where I want to go, I'm probably just going to be a lazy person and sit on the sofa all day and not do anything. I really believe this is why so many of us think this way. We think we have to be mean to ourselves in our brain in order to create the results that we want. So I just want you to sit with that for a moment and really understand that sometimes those negative thoughts, thinking terribly about ourselves, actually gets in our way. Sometimes if you opt in to these terrible thoughts for a really long time, you will lose your motivation to keep going. If you start to fundamentally believe that I'm just a lazy person, or that I could never work that hard, or I could never figure this thing out, then you are probably going to stop the journey. You're probably going to stop trying. You are probably going to give up on yourself before you get where you want to go. Whereas on the flip side, if you are believing in yourself, if you are believing in your power and you are trusting the journey and you are creating a journey that feels good to go into, you are probably going to stick with it longer. So sticking with it is super important. Not giving up on yourself is obviously huge. If you give up on yourself, you give up on yourself. There's not much anyone can do if you are not trying. Secondly, just a reminder of your manifestation powers. And again, the idea that you get to create your rules and you get to design your life, create your story, opt into whatever reality you want. Why would you want to constantly believe you are behind? Why would you constantly want to believe you are rushed or that there's not enough hours in a day? Why would you constantly want to berate yourself for that? Because I am telling you right now, if you are opting into this line of thinking, that is what you are creating. You are creating it by believing these things. You are creating that feeling. You are creating those results by believing that stuff about time. Whereas there is another way of looking at things. There are ways to shift your relationship with time. There is a way to have this spaciousness, this abundance, this different way of being in the world that is full of trust and worthiness and deservingness. And when you actually believe those thoughts, that is the world you create. That is the world you opt into. My dear conscious creators, I made this video today just as a reminder for you to tell yourself just how powerful you are, and a reminder that you get to create your thoughts. The world that you are living in is self-generated. Many of us are generating thoughts and beliefs that are not working, and it is time in this new Aquarian age for us to realize that. This is why it is so important to get curious about yourself. And this is why it is so important for you to do this work of mentally recoding what's in here so that we can live up to our true potential. I hope this video today inspired you to change your relationship with time. If you watched this far, I would love it if you would give me a shout out and type in time in the description box below. I would just love to know who made it and who enjoyed this journey of time with me. If you like this video, you can do me another favor and give it a like. If you want to learn more, you can come on over to my website and sign up for my free manifestation planner. I would love to see you in there. And if you're really ready to take your manifesting to the next level, I suggest you come on over and check out my manifestation journaling workshop. It will really help you to take your manifestation practice and make it a part of your daily routine. So usually we think about manifesting and it ends up just being kind of wishy-washy thoughts. This is a really practical strategy for you to write things down and get it done. So if you want to learn about that, you can come on over and check that out as well. And other than that, I'm wishing you a week of magical manifesting. I love you guys so much. Thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.